I would like to introduce somewhat about the Professor Anil Parwani. Professor Anil Parwani is one of the very famous professor in Ohio State, U.S. He has a lot of more than 400 articles, and he is a good expert in many fields in medicine, especially in the telepathology and digital pathology and AI. So I think it is a very chance to invite Professor Anil to Vietnam to share with us about digital pathology and AI. So thank you very much for your presentation today, and would like to invite you for your talk. Thank you very much.
All right, good afternoon everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Raise your hand. How's the lunch? All right, we'll get started. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and talk about digital pathology and AI. I am grateful for the invitation to come here and speak to you all today. So this is where I come from, Columbus, Ohio. This is the football field. This is the city of Columbus. And where is this? I'm here for a very short time, so I will not get a chance to see this beautiful city so much. But it's a pleasure to be here. So I want to talk to you today about the journey of digital pathology, where we started from the microscope to where are we today and where are we going with this field. I also want to talk to you about the different applications. And I also want to talk to you about AI. So we want to talk about this journey today. But how many of you have used digital pathology? How many of you think AI will replace pathology? Almost no one. Right? So I agree with you. I don't think AI will ever replace pathology. But AI will help pathology. Right? So we have a lot of manual processes in pathology today, and digital pathology and AI can help us with overcoming some of those barriers. So what are the big barriers today? We have a shortage of pathologists. We have a lot of new technologies to help address this, but it's not fast enough right now. We also have a lot of new discoveries. So I'm a GU pathologist. I'm not a GI pathologist or a liver pathologist, but this morning I learned so much about liver pathology. The last time I saw a liver biopsy when I was a resident. So clearly the field has advanced. So is GU advanced, and so is pathology advanced. So we have a lot of challenges, but we have exciting new technologies to help us. We have an immense amount of data, molecular data, imaging data. We have more knowledge, and we are truly in the knowledge age of pathology, which can help us find new treatments for patients, new discoveries, and so on. So 10 years ago, the question was, can we digitize pathology? 15 years ago. But today we clearly have many labs around the world which have converted to a digital workflow. We have heard from many speakers today, and many of the labs in Europe, in Asia, have converted to a digital format. We're not there yet 100%, but that's a journey that has started. So today I will talk to you about what is the building block of DNA? What is the building block? What makes DNA? Anybody can answer that? What is the building block of a protein? What makes a protein, right? Amino acids. So what makes a digital image? Pixels. So today I will talk to you about a new field in pathology, which is combining digital pathology and AI. Imageomics. Just like genomics, this is the future of using images to make diagnosis, make predictions, and talk about new treatments for your patients. So remember this word. You heard it here. So why is digital pathology important? Right? So we have several pathologists we have a shortage of pathologists. So we have Anil here. He did a big research project on the number of pathologists. Can anyone guess how many pathologists are in the world? Is it 50,000 pathologists in the world? 100,000? 1 million? Who thinks it's 100,000? Raise your hand. Who thinks it's 1 million? What is it, Andre? What is the number of pathologists in the world? 120,000 pathologists in the world. And how many pathologists in this room? How many residents in the room who want to be pathologists? Raise your hand if you're a resident. So we have a shortage of pathologists in the world, right? Even there are some countries in the world where there is one pathologist for 1 million patients, less than that. And how many pathologists in the room think they have extra work, they can do more work? They don't have enough work. How many pathologists think their life is easy? You have enough work to do. Raise your hand if you have enough cases to sign out. You want more cases? I can send them to you. How many of so AI and digital pathology can help you because it can automate some of the tasks that we take for granted, like counting cells. So I'm showing you some of the challenges we have in pathology, right? Lack of standardization, subjectivity, manual processes, shortage of pathologists. Pathologists are overworked. Who agrees pathologists are overworked? Who agrees pathologists are not overworked? So, pathologists spend a lot of time on time-consuming tasks. So what does AI offer us? More subjectivity, more standardization, more accuracy, maybe more speed. So we're not giving up your microscopes. You have powerful microscopes like full slide imaging. Why are we ready for it in 2024? Why didn't we do this 10 years ago? Right? So in 2024, we have more powerful computers, we have better infrastructure, we have better algorithms, and we have more data. Right? So millions and millions of slides now have been scanned worldwide. And many patients have received their diagnosis only on digital slides, not on microscopes. In the United States, we have one FDA-approved algorithm for prostate cancer diagnosis. So overall, adoption continues to increase, the cost of digitization continues to go down. And we move beyond the question of are these slides good enough? Is this image good enough? So today, if you look around in the exhibit area, you have several vendors who are exhibiting their scanners. And this technology can scan one slide under a minute. And it can produce a diagnostic quality image. There are machines today which you can load up to 1,000 slides and walk away from the, it's like a lab instrument now. So whole slide scanners have been proven to produce diagnostic quality images. So today we are confident that the image from this whole slide scan is of diagnostic quality. Those of you who sign out digitally, do you think the images are just as good as your microscope? Are they better? Andre doesn't think it's better. So I am a GU pathologist. I sign out a lot of prostate biopsies. So with this image, I am able to look inside the nucleus and I can see nucleoli. And this is to me a diagnostic quality image. So any idea where this picture is from? What part of the world? Ohio, yes. Who are these people? So this is a picture, it's about 30 minutes from Columbus. So these are Amish people. They have embraced a life which is away from technology. But 30 minutes down the road, you have pathologists who are signing out digitally 100%. So at my institute, we started to digitize slides in 2016 is when we started this journey. And in the beginning, maybe 2 pathologists wanted to sign out digitally. But guess what? Today, greater than 95% of the pathologists are signing out digitally. And if the system goes down, pathologists get angry. Why isn't this system working anymore? So yesterday we had 24-hour downtime because we were converting to a new image management system. And you should see the email traffic about why isn't this working. So it was really. But we started in 2016 and now in 2024 we have near 100% digital adoption and we are starting to use artificial intelligence in routine practice. This is a histology lab. So we have scanners in the histology lab. And this is a pathologist workstation. They are signing out from home. So our goal to digitize slides is to minimize the slide travel time. So we don't need to move glass slides anymore. We move images. We also have all the scanners in the histology lab. So as soon as the slide is produced, it's available to the pathologist for signing. So this is the sign out work list. I can see the cases that are available for me today. I can review them, I can sign them out, I can consult on them. Even from my hotel room here in Ho Chi Minh City, I've been able to do 2 consults since yesterday. So this is remarkable, right? This would never happen with a microscope. With a microscope, you're chained to your microscope. So scanned slides are instantaneously available in the image management system. And you are able to collaborate more easily. You're able to measure things more easily. You're able to quantitate things more easily. So this is during COVID sign out with the resident. So the point is, you're no longer just restricted to making a diagnosis on your own. You can consult an expert in liver, you can consult an expert in GU pathology in real time. And you can see who's online. So here I can see all these pathologists are online. I can click on them. They might be on a vacation in Hawaii or they might be playing golf, but I can still connect with them. So this is the number of slides we have scanned so far. Just like when you go to McDonald's and they say over 1 billion burgers have been served. This is the number that keeps increasing. Number of cases. It's not advancing, but okay, it's a little slow. The computer is eating lunch. Okay, so this shows you year-to-year volume. So you can see in 2019 we were down to this number of users, but it continues to go up every year. But look at this number. On any given day, about 80% of the pathologists are online using the system. So we are now able to review images and consults from not just Ohio, but overall anywhere from the world now. We have a website where you can log in, upload a case, and get it available for review. So many pathologists are using this small scanner which can hold one slide at a time and consult each other in real time. But look at the size compared to a microscope, this small scanner. So again, over 200 primary diagnoses a day, multiple interactions with the trainees and the pathologists, with the oncologists, in real-time collaborations. So for me, the biggest advantage is being able to review the prior cases, being able to review cases as soon as they are scanned, and be able to look at the controls and collaborate with one another. So this is a huge advantage of digitization. So what does digitization do? It converts a microscopic slide into pixels. Alright, so where is this city? Which city in the world is this? Anybody guess? You will get my lunch if you guess this right. I haven't eaten my lunch. So this is Columbus, Ohio. This is downtown Columbus, Ohio, which is the capital city of Ohio. Alright, so the next session I want to talk about is, once you have digitized your slides, what else can you do? So once a slide is made, can you do anything after that? What can you do with the glass slide? Anybody? So let's say you made a diagnosis. You are the world's best pathologist. Everybody in this room is the world's best pathologist. And you make a diagnosis with your glass slide. After you have made your diagnosis, what is the value of that glass slide? What happens to the glass slide? Where does it go? It goes into storage, right? How often do you go back to that glass slide? Anybody? Is it 10% of the time? 1%? 30%? Or less than 1%? What do you think? So it's less than 1 to 2% of the time. Okay, so now let's talk about what can you do once the slide is digitized. You made an image. What can you do with that image? So the next 30 minutes I'm going to talk about life after the glass slide. So let's say this is your glass slide. Okay? You made your diagnosis under the microscope. going into the storage. You're never going to see it again. We're going to add one more step. I'm going to put it in a scanner and digitize it. So now what do you have? What is the basic unit of an image? Everybody say loud. What is the basic unit of an image? Say it loud, everybody. If you don't say it loud, then the lunch is not good. Pixels. Everybody say pixels. I can't hear it. Say it one more time. You can do better. One more time. Pixels. Yes. The loudest voice in the room wins a prize. Alright. So once the glass slide, this glass slide is now pixels. You can open new doors and algorithms. You can identify things. You can quantitate things. You can identify features. You can count things. You can look for H. pylori. You can actually grade fibrosis and NASH. So this morning we heard about lectures. We heard about all the features that are necessary to quantitate fibrosis, quantitate inflammation in the liver. We can do that with the pixels. So remember this terminology, right? What else can you do with after the glass slide? I'm going to talk to you about virtual staining, synthetic data, 3D pathology, and integrated large language models like ChatGPT. So these are things that we are doing already today in pathology. We can identify features, we can count cells, we can recognize patterns, we can quantitate biomarkers, and we can detect, classify, segment, and quantify and localize things. So, what about quantitative digital image analysis? Alright, everybody who just finished their lunch, I'm going to ask 3 people in the room questions. You have to count the blue dots, and you have to give me the exact number, and you have 3 seconds to do it. Who wants to do it? Raise your hand. You will get extra lunch. You can do it, come on. So, the point is, if I ask all of you, you will have a different answer. Is that fair? How about this one? This is easier. Only 2 millimeter square of cells. Will we all have a same answer? Right? So, machine learning, image analysis has been around for a long time, but it's very useful because if you have a biomarker like PD-L1, where you or HER2 new, HER2 low, you can change the patient's treatment based on your answer. So you as a pathologist, if you call this 10% or 20% or 50% answer, the patient will get a different treatment. So today we have several biomarkers like this. How about this one? Right, so we had lectures on neuroendocrine carcinoma, right? Where the treatment is, the grading and the staging is different if the numbers are different. What about lymph nodes? Who likes to look at lymph nodes? Who wants to look at glass slides and lymph nodes, or replace it with a technology like your smartphone, which will find metastatic cancer for you in the lymph nodes? So this is an app that we use in my institute, where pathologists can feed all their images into an app, and it will tell you if there is metastatic cancer or not. So here is the app, and you might say, you don't need AI to detect this, I can see it visually. I just have to put the slide and it's metastatic cancer, right? I agree. But what about this focus here? Are you confident that you're going to detect this every day? You're never going to miss this focus. Who thinks you will never miss this focus of isolated tumor cells? So the technology is good enough to find 3 or 4 cells of cancer in a lymph node. So this is something that pathologists are using now. So let's say you know that this is cancer, but what if I told you this is colon cancer without doing any immunostains? Will you buy this? What if you had a tumor of unknown origin and you had an AI app which would tell you this is colon cancer or lung cancer or breast cancer or prostate cancer without doing any immunostains? Do you believe that this will happen? So let's say if I gave all of you this app for free, you don't have to pay anything. Will you buy it? So today we have technologies that can do that. Okay? What about detecting and diagnosing cancer? So the most research and commercial products have been in prostate cancer. And I'm a GU pathologist. I look at hundreds of prostate biopsies every month. So I probably don't need this app, but I find it useful because it screens all my cases for me. It keeps the cases in a folder ready for me to review. It also screens the cases after I have reviewed them, after I have signed out the cases. So we did a study where 1,000 cases of prostate cancer were biopsied, detected, AI was used after the pathologist signed it out. And there were 4 cases. There were 4 foci of cancer that were missed by pathologists, were picked up by AI. So AI can help you in any cancer as a screening tool. It can help you to predict what immunostains could be used, or during sign out, it can help you complete your report, quantitate the cancer. And after sign out, it could be a safety check. How many of you as pathologists would love to have somebody check your work after you have signed it out? So not before you sign it out, but let's say you push the button, you signed it out. What if I gave you the safety mechanism to check your work before you sign it out? So these are the 3 areas where AI can help you. So these are examples of a commercially available app, which is looking at your prostate biopsy. It could be doing this while you're signing out, before you sign out, or after you sign out. But look at the information it can provide you. The focus of interest, the grade of the cancer, how much cancer is present, what is pattern 3, what is pattern 4. So this is something you spend a lot of time doing it, right? So what if while you're doing it, all these numbers were being crunched and entered into a report, and you're just saying yes, yes, check, check, check. Alright, so this is a prostate biopsy. So you're looking at it, but you can use AI to screen it. You can use AI to help you. For example, this is perineural invasion right there. And AI can enter this information for you in the report. It can identify the features that you wanted to enter. So this will never replace a pathologist, but it will help a pathologist. So this is breast cancer, and the red areas is where the cancer is, and it can also classify the cancer, intraductal versus lobular. How about counting mitoses? Who likes to count mitoses? What if I gave you this app for free? By the way, nothing is free. You still have to pay for it somehow. But this app can count mitoses for you. So this is a app that we have now starting to use at my institute, where the computer is identifying the mitotic figures for you, and you as a pathologist can see which one is true, which one is not. So the red areas are the highest probability that this is a mitotic figure, and the yellow areas are the lowest probability. At the end, you as a pathologist are going to say yes or no. So AI is not doing this 100%. It's just helping you in your daily work. What about lymphoma classification? So this is an app that we are using for research now to classify lymphoma cells. What about acid-fast bacilli for TB? This is an app which is circling the acid-fast bacilli on an acid-fast stain which has been scanned. This is an app for H. pylori detection on H&E image. Alright, so I'm going to now move to the third session. The third thing I'm going to talk to you about is generative AI and using synthetic data in pathology. So we talked about digital pathology, pixels. We talked about using the pixels to make a diagnosis. Now let's talk about using the pixels to generate data. So generative AI. Who has used ChatGPT? You like it? Back in the room. You like it? Alright, so just to keep things in perspective, generative AI is a subfield of AI that is focusing on creating new data. So just like we create class slides, we're creating new data. So we have foundation models, which are general purpose models. We have large language models. We also have vision models. And we have multimodal models. So I just want you to understand the big terminology called generative AI. Alright, so this is an example of using AI tools in colon cancer evaluation. So you can classify things like we heard today, dysplasia, benign, like the polyps. We can quantify things like T67. We can screen for rare events like lymph node metastasis. We can also predict the treatment response on these different biomarkers. And then finally, we can risk stratify patients using AI. So, from pixels to predictions. Alright, so this is an example of a machine learning model to predict if the patient has microsatellite instability. So using this image, this is an H&E image from your glass slide. It's predicting microsatellite instability. And this is really about predicting based on an image. So AI can generate synthetic images. So here you can see examples of this. And it can predict if this patient has BRAF mutation or RAS-like mutations without doing any PCR or sequencing, just on image alone, and predicting strong, weak, or no threshold of these different mutations. So how do we do this, right? So this is an example of AI using computational pathology and generative AI to generate an H&E image from an unstained slide. So here you have an unstained slide which has autofluorescence. Using deep learning, you can transform this unstained slide into an H&E image. So this is a chemical H&E and this is a digital H&E or a virtual H&E. So here you have a kidney section which has been generated in the histology lab. And here you have a kidney section which is generated in the computer lab. So you can see they are very similar to each other, right? Here you have prostate cancer slides. So on the right hand side you have benign prostate. Everybody agree? Who's a prostate pathologist in the room? The computer did not eat their lunch today. Okay, so this is a real H&E, this is a virtual H&E. This is a malignant prostate, this is generated by the lab, this is generated by the computer. This is an immunostain that was made in the lab, this is an immunostain that was generated by the computer. This is a patient with intraductal carcinoma of the prostate. So you can see side by side. Is this H&E in the lab or is this H&E? Which one is in the lab? So this is the real H&E, this is the virtual H&E. This is the real IHC, this is the virtual IHC. This is who's liver pathologist in the room? What do you think? This is a H&E. This is a trichrome. And this is a trichrome which is generated by the computer. Side by side. Can you tell them apart? You can tell them apart? Somewhat. Alright, so I'll just talk to you briefly about 3D pathology. That's coming soon in the clinical world. So this is a prostate cancer slide biopsy in 3D, and this is a benign biopsy. So you can see them side by side. But based on 3D pathology and using deep learning, we can separate cancer from benign. We can also grade them and quantitate the cancer. So, as a resident, when you learn pathology, what do? We read about it, we recognize the patterns, we understand the disease. When we look at a slide, we decide on a differential diagnosis. We create familiarity with the same disease over and over again. And you see many cases over and over again. So you become a liver pathologist, you become a GU pathologist. So you also rule out the mimickers, you rule out the false positives, you rule out the false negatives. This is really what your AI consultant is doing, right? It's learning from humans. It's learning how to make a diagnosis. It's learning to create a differential diagnosis. So we show cases to each other, we have consensus conferences, we show it to experts, and we sit around the microscope and we look at the cases together, right? We read the books. So when I was a resident, I opened the book, I tried to compare the image to the most closest image and tried to make a diagnosis. Now we can search on Google, we can find similar images. But now we can feed an image into the computer and ask for the most closest image. So in this example, the query image is a brain subependymoma. And the computer turned out the best match is a subependymoma. So let's finally talk about ChatGPT and its role in pathology. How is foundation model going to help pathology in the future? So there are several examples of functional models like ChatGPT, GPT-4, Llama 3.1. Gemini. So these are examples of foundation models. So who likes Netflix? Anybody uses Netflix? So it took Netflix to get 1 million users in 3.5 years. Airbnb, 2.5 years. Twitter, 2 years. Facebook, 300 days. Spotify, 150 days. ChatGPT, 5 days. 1 million users. So, imagine a world where you have your glass slide. You have digitized it. It's on your monitor. And you can ask the computer questions about it. What is the stage? What is this cancer? Do you think that's possible? So here you can chat with the screen on the screen. What tissue is this? What tissue is it? Anybody? We have 100 pathologists in the room. Yes. So this is an example of how ChatGPT will be used in pathology. Where you have your image, this is your glass slide, it's been now digitized. Multiple millions of pixels. They are all available now. And you can ask the computer, suggest some diagnosis. And it suggested these diagnoses for you. You can say, recommend your IHC for you. You can say, recommend the publications. I don't believe you. Show me the papers. I can ask my AI assistant, who could be my resident. And I can ask questions from this. And it will give me the answers. I can ask it, show me the features. And it will point it to me. Where are the features? Alright, so finally, we started with a glass slide. Right? Everybody in the room loves glass slides, right? You love your microscope. We converted the glass slide into what? Into what? Pixels. And we use the pixels to make what? And we use the image to do what? Make a diagnosis and predictions, right? So remember this terminology, imageomics. So this is my last slide. So imagine a world where you're doing frozen sections, right? What if the surgeons can now do frozen sections? Can they do that? Can the surgeons do frozen sections and read them? Is it possible? So this study just came out where you have a patient in the OR. He's doing brain surgery. Okay? The patient has glioma. This is the surgical specimen. This is the tumor margin. Inside the OR, you take the tissue and you generate images. Pathologist is not doing this. This is happening inside the OR without the pathologist. So this is the glioma, this is the gliotic brain, this is the margin. It's predicting where the margin is in real time without actually doing a frozen section. So why am I showing you this? Because how many pathologists will it take to, if you're doing this frozen section, what if you all are removed from this task? Do we want that? Do you want surgeons to read your frozens or do you want to read the frozens? Who wants surgeons to read the frozens? But this is actually happening. So why am I telling you this? Because if we as pathologists don't take ownership of this technology, somebody else will. Right? So it's important for us to understand the power of digital pathology and AI. If we don't do it, somebody else will do it. So all of you soon, if we don't do this, we might be in an oncology conference in the future, not a pathology conference. So today we have the 14th Pathology Conference of South Vietnam, right? 14th. We might have the first Pathology Conference of Oncology next year. So it's important for us to really take ownership of this field. This is your field. This is not a radiology. This is not oncology. We all have to understand some of it. Maybe we don't have the money to buy the best scanner in the world, but we need to stay involved. We need to stay engaged and take ownership of it. So I'm going to conclude by saying we have several new technologies. We talked about glass slides to pixels to diagnosis and AI and generative AI. This is not happening 5 years from now. This is not happening 10 years from now. This is happening today. It's a reality, right? So if a pathologist who uses AI is more powerful than a pathologist who doesn't, AI alone is not powerful. So we all need to be involved and engaged. So in the not so distant future, there will be digital pathology in AI. What do you think? Will we have digital pathology in the future? Raise your hand. Everybody. What about AI pathology? Will it be there? Yeah? I disagree. I don't agree with you. In the future, there will be no digital pathology. There will be no AI. There will be no foundation models. There will be no chat GPT. It's all going to be, there is a punchline. It's all going to be just pathology. This is going to be routine pathology in the future. This will not, there will be no separate conference for digital pathology. There will be no satellite symposium for digital pathology. It's all going to be pathology as part of your liver pathology. The computer didn't like that. It froze the slide for me. So, and many, many more tools will be available for the pathologists. All right, I want to call out we need to get a new computer for this room. Can you go back to the previous slide? Can you go back to the last slide? Alright, so who is the member of ASDP? Asian Society of Digital Pathology. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're a member. Who is not? So, I encourage everyone to become part of ASDP. It's an organization which is 1 year old, approximately 1 year old now. It is one of the largest, going to be one of the largest organizations to promote digital pathology, teach about digital pathology. So the last year's session was, annual conference was in Korea, Seoul. This year, next year in 2025, it will be in Mumbai, India. So I encourage every one of you to become members. What is the membership fee? Andre, it's like $50? Yeah, I think it's free for the residents. Free for training. So if you're a resident in the room, raise your hand. You should become a member of ASDP. Alright, so I'm going to stop my talk and see if you have any questions. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the delay in the slides. It was not cooperating, but hopefully you got the message that I was trying to convey to you. Any questions in the room? Anybody has questions? Everybody agrees with me? Yes, question. Do you have a question? No question. No question. Okay. Yes, come on over. Use the microphone.
So thank you for your interesting presentation. And when we are just the first few steps to apply digital pathology in our hospital. And when I talk to the clinician, the physician at my hospital, they worry about two things. The first is the legal aspect of AI application. And so they share your knowledge about the legal problem. And the second thing is when we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, we mean they can learn and we can teach them. So what if what if the AI think and they give opinion in the wrong way? Thank you.
Yeah, so excellent question. So, do we trust our AI or not, right? So, the answer should be, you as a pathologist will use AI. Who's responsible for it? You are responsible for it. So your name, whose name is on the report? Is this Dr. AI or Dr. Parwani? Whose name is it? My name. So today you use immunohistochemistry, right? You use PCR. You use next-gen sequencing. You use FISH. Who's responsible for that? Is it the machine which makes the fish, or you as a pathologist?
Pathologist.
Right. So AI is nothing else, nothing new. It has to be used safely, carefully, and released for use when you feel confident that it can generate the results. So today you use your smartphone every day, right? You order food, you order Grab, you say, okay, show me where the best pizza is in Ho Chi Minh City. You trust it. Same thing with AI. Somebody will build an AI tool, you have a choice to make sure it's clinically validated and useful for you, and you trust it. And you trust it so much that you can put your name on it. So AI is nothing else, just it's another technology. So your answer should be, yes, I feel I have invested enough time in this technology and I feel confident that the results are trustable. So don't sign your name if you don't believe in it. Don't buy any technology if you're not going to feel confident in its use. Okay? Does it answer your question? Okay.
Thank you very much for your very interesting talk. So I have a question. I know that you are one of the leaders in the developing the AI and digital pathology. So my question is, do you have I think the AI will develop very well and very fast.
Yes, I can.
Yes, so do you have a plan to solve the gap between the developing country and under-resourced country in the future, because the AI will change the practice very, very soon?
Yeah. So, from what I have seen so far, there are many startup companies in Asia which are making AI tools. So I'm actually very scared as a pathologist, because it's not expensive. It's not very expensive to get a high-end camera and attach it to a microscope and take images and feed it into an AI. So what I'm afraid is there will be many companies who will make AI products which is not carefully tested and be available to be used everywhere. So remember the problem that I showed you, which is we have a shortage of pathologists worldwide. We have in some countries less than one pathologist per million patients, 1 million patients. If those countries are given an AI tool to use, which is inexpensive, and they are using it, it's going to bypass all the safety requirements that are happening. So I feel like the gap should be met very carefully, and we should not be pushing AI in countries which have these tools available to them and they are not carefully tested. So that's my number one concern. You know, so when I see, you can go to the internet today and use an open source tool and use it to, for example, quantitate T67, quantitate PDL1, diagnose cancer. So I'm afraid that it's going to become more problematic in developing countries which have limited resources. They're just going to not be very selective in choosing those AI apps. So I think it's actually, the problem is the other way around. So I'm very concerned about that. Any other questions? So everybody is ready to buy their scanners? We have several scanners for sale next door.
I have one.
Yes.
I have one scanner, slide scanner, but one of the biggest problem now in Vietnam is we have not enough money to buy the good slide scanner. But I think another important one is before we use digital pathology or AI, we have to make this very good slide. So after that, we scan the slide to have a good digital imaging.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's take some more years. So in Vietnam, so we are waiting for your support.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every lab in the world I've talked to who's become digital, their histology lab has increased in quality. Because if you make a bad slide, guess what? The image is going to be very bad. So sample processing is very important. Standardized sample collection and processing of that image of the glass, of the tissue, and creating this glass slide is going to yield a good image, which is a prerequisite to use AI. So if you don't have a good sample collection, sample processing, in a standardized method, you're going to get poor slides, which will lead to poor images, which will lead to poor AI. So it's very, very important to get that right.
Thank you very much. Có ai hỏi gì không?
There's one more question.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. So you showed a lot of possibilities by using AI technologies, but from my point of view, so AI can be used for diagnosis, screening, education, research. And from your point of view, which goal can be easily achieved in a short time?
So for sure, education, it's already here. So today, this afternoon, you're going to hear lectures about use of AI in education, use of AI in research. I think education is already there, but the future of AI in education goes beyond just digital pathology. We're going to have foundation models, we're going to have teaching, which is going to be incorporated from the models like ChatGPT, where you'll be asking questions from an image. As a resident, when I was a resident, my biggest challenge was to open a book and find that image. Today's foundation models have enough experience that an AI can generate 500 years of experience. So all of you have 50 years of experience in pathology, right? Some of you have 10 years. The most basic AI foundation models have 500 years of experience. Imagine that. Because you're feeding all these images into this computer and you're asking it, what is it? So I think education is ready. Research is ready already. Many of these tools started with research applications. Clinical is problematic because it's expensive, there is more regulatory hurdles, and in order to use AI, labs have to be digital. How many labs in Vietnam are digital? Less than 5%? Less than 1%? Right? I mean, it's less than 1%. Even if it's one lab, the answer is correct. So, overall, globally, maybe 15 to 20% of the labs are digital. So, which means that 80% of the labs cannot use AI every day, but they can start using some of the applications of AI. So I think some of these are ready for prime time, some of them are not, and it will take some time. But what you're going to see this afternoon, you're going to see lectures and talks on all these topics. So I encourage everyone to stay in this room, don't go anywhere, don't go to the first floor. Stay in this room. This is the best session you're going to do yesterday. And I'm joking. You can go wherever you want. But I'm biased that this is the future of pathology. And you must stay in this room for the rest of the sessions. You have exciting talks planned, and many of our speakers have traveled from all over the world to come here today to speak to you. So don't miss this opportunity. Okay? Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Professor.